lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Now it's my turn, I guess. Putting this together as it goes, but welcome. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge that all of us right now are sitting on Indigenous land. This land belonged to the Massachusetts people, and we must recognize and honor these people as we move forward with today's ceremony. First, a few thank yous. First off, our teachers. There would be no event today if it weren't for you. Thank you to all the effort you've put in throughout our years here, and especially for the resilience and passion you've shown to navigate the current zooming state of affairs. Thank you to our parents who've gotten us to this point after 13 years. We wish you could be here to celebrate with us, but we know you're watching from home. There are a ton of people who worked behind the scenes to pull this event off. Thank you, Mr. Scott, the custodial staff, and Mr. Zink, who arrived very early this morning to set up the entire field safely for us. Thank you, Mrs. Zink, Dr. Chisholm, Mrs. Bignani, and Mr. Kelton. You have been our rocks throughout this entire graduation process. And a final thank you to Mr. Charlesworth and Mrs. Janciapo. These two amazing class advisors have gone above and beyond planning for every event that happened and did not happen, so give them a round of applause. Seniors, graduated seniors, I honestly don't know what to call us at this point. We've reached the end of July. We technically graduated 2 months ago. Some of us are off to college in a mere few days. Others are going to start jobs in the coming weeks and months, but for all of us, the only thing that certainly lies ahead is more uncertainty. And an uncertainty that none of us, not even the adults, know how to navigate. I want to take us back to a very fateful day in all of our lives. I'm sure most of us remember it well. March 12th, 2020, our last day of high school, which, at the time, on that day, we didn't know was our last day of high school. The whispers of a virus coming started immediately after February break, but on March 12th, the whispers grew into a constant conversation in every classroom, to the point where I began asking myself, what did we talk about before the coronavirus? And I remember sitting in the hallway by the gym, tying knots with Kelly in Griff's adventure class, realizing that today would be the day when school finally got canceled. Sure enough, a few hours later during Blue Block, Dr. Chisholm's voice crackled over the loudspeaker, and he told us to grab our things and come back in 2 weeks. What struck me in that moment was how differently seniors reacted from the greater student body. While others cheered, we stood with our jaws hanging. We had that weird feeling. We knew the world as we knew it was turning on its side. That March 12th, all of us walked out of those glass front doors asking so many questions, and all of us, very quickly, came to a clear realization. Nobody had any answers. Our surroundings strike me this morning as symbolic of that fact. As we sit together today, a large space in the stadium remains vacant. That space, under normal circumstances, we reserve for adults, parents and guardians who always knew to look both ways before crossing the road, grandparents who had so many when I was your age stories. Right now, our surroundings are our situation. And yes, in this situation, adults are missing. This visual, I believe, is much represented in the final lines of William Golding's novel, Lord of the Flies. For those of you who remember freshman year as poorly as I do, Lord of the Flies tells the story of 15 schoolboys who, after crashing on a deserted island, devolve into fighting, violence, and factioning. After more than a year on the island, a naval officer shows up on a battleship to rescue the schoolboys. But in these final lines, we're led to believe something entirely different. Golding writes, quote, "The officer turned away to give the boys some time to pull themselves together, and waited, allowing his eyes to rest on the trim cruiser in the distance," end quote. In fact, this adult has not saved the schoolboys. He's done the exact opposite. He brings them into a war-torn world, hence the battleship, where there's nobody to save the adults from their war. In this world, spears become rifles, and rafts become battleships. We see an endless cycle. But here's the catch. The story ends right there. We don't know what happens next. Maybe the boys get stuck in the cycle and enter a world of more conflict. But maybe they don't. At this point, they have a huge opportunity to move forward to save themselves and their world. This is the moment I see us all in right now. We have been given a world where some people who call themselves adults and leaders actually have no idea what they're doing. There are times when it feels like those who are meant to be there to make our lives better end up caught in nonsense and just seem to be serving their own interests. When we move forward today into this unfathomably uncertain world, we have to know that the problems that confront us are not going to have easy, clear answers. And in many circumstances, the adults we once expected leadership from may not have the advice we need. What we must do when confronted with these issues is take time to listen to and learn from each other. It is only in this way that we can begin to look towards horizons instead of at the battleships that block them. So, when we walk off this field for the last time and into our next chapter for the first time, be catalysts. When you feel abandoned by leaders and adults, lead yourself and those around you. When somebody says something you don't agree with, don't attack them. Ask them. Have a conversation. Learn about each other. Be more inclined to bring each other up rather than tear each other down. Because a world with us together, for our generation, the next generation, and for the adults who handed it to us, is a world better off. Seniors, or whatever we are, congratulations. Let's enjoy ourselves this morning. It's been an absolute honor being your president these past 4 years, and I can't wait for better times to come. Thank you.
Class of 2020. My name is Lily Culhane, and I'm absolutely honored to speak to all of you today. I originally wanted to open with a flash mob, but seeing as we can't be within 6 feet of each other, they had to take out the big lift, and I wagered that we might as well scrap the whole thing. However, what our class officers, town officials, school administration, and parents have put together this entire year has been amazing. So let's have a huge round of applause for all of them. This year has been quite a journey, a period for growing up and growing out. And yes, that growth was stunted a little bit. Was it a shame? Yes. Did we have to give up senior project, prom, and other events we looked forward to? Sure we did. Did I, Lily and Kate Culhane, single-handedly finish my first ever jigsaw puzzle while simultaneously binge-watching 3 seasons of The Office all in 4 days? You betcha. Maybe finishing the TV show in 4 days is a little bit more impressive than taking 4 full days to finish one puzzle, but tomato, tomato. Nonetheless, we made the most of our days in the high school, played the hand we were dealt, and I thoroughly believe it will be impossible for us to forget our crazy senior year. One that forced us to develop resilience like never before. Now, I'm a big music enthusiast, and I believe that music is one of many beautiful ways to express oneself. There's one playlist that I have entitled Life, and the contents of that playlist are for the moments like these, the landmarks of life. For times that build up over years and go by too quickly. For the speechless, big-time events that wait in your brain to be remembered on a rainy day. The songs on this playlist are something out of a 2000s coming-of-age movie because sometimes life really does feel like just that. Although, sometimes this past spring, life felt a little bit more like Apocalypse Now than Perks of Being a Wallflower, but that's for a different speech. To be honest, seniors, whether you know it or not, you are all a part of that life playlist. You are all a part of my speechless, landmark, big-time moments. Now, I bet you all have ideas in your head of what your life playlist sounds like. Possibly you have a little bit of Carly Rae Jepsen or Young Gravy on yours, and to that I would say, maybe keep those playlists on the private setting. Just kidding. Well, okay, just kidding. Anyways, here's some songs off of mine. We're Going to Be Friends by the White Stripes. That's the one that goes, I can tell that we are gonna be friends. That's the song that all our teachers use in those slideshows at the end of each year. When I hear that song, I think of elementary school. Let me say each school once, and I encourage you to cheer for your elementary school when you hear it. Give it up for Bates. Yeah. For Hardy. Yeah. For Sprague. Upham. Schofield, Honeywell, and finally Fisk.
Yeah!
When I hear We're Going to Be Friends, I think of the Foursquare and basketball courts, the playground, mainly just recess, because I still miss recess. Also, did you guys know that playground at the high school is for the Child Lab kids? Because I always thought it was for my free blocks. I digress. Finally, I reminisce on Hale Reservation, where I met some of my best friends. I loved those days. Another song on the playlist is Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. Everybody wants to rule the world. I think of middle school when I listened to that one. Just listen to the title. You'll get it. I remember having to leave our reign as 5th graders and become 6th graders, then 7th grade. 7th grade was like the middle school's junior year equivalent. Everyone told you to dread the workload, but by the end of the year you felt like the most accomplished person in the world. And why not? You were 13-ish years old and you dissected a frog with flying-ish colors. I recount 8th grade quotes too. Mine was best 3 years of my life, said no one ever. I don't know why it was so sassy, but looking back, I can't say it was an incorrect statement. I needed those days. And now for the big kahuna, high school. The song, Tongue-Tied by Group Love. Take me to your best friend's house, that one. I hear that song and I think of our first day in high school freshman year. Walking into a new adventure, walking towards new friends, and leaving old versions of ourselves behind. I think of getting my license and racing down Rice Street at 6:30 a.m. for a spot on Payne. When I saw someone else take the final spot, sure, I thought in my head, I will never be able to forgive them. Then I got the spot the next day and saw them walking to Washington, so I guess we could all call it even. I remember struggling through our first IRP. I still don't think I'm ready to unpack the struggles of my first IRP, but I think it was beneficial. I think of the afternoon games, golf and skiing. I wasted my only chance to ski back in 2010 on sitting in the lodge and eating waffles, so you could say I've always been a little jealous of the ski team. I think of my last musical, my last October. I think of hearing the band play during graduations and do that awesome trumpet thing when another band kid walks across the stage. A moment I wish I was a band kid, and another thing that I'm jealous of. I think of our first cotillion together, our last cotillion together, and the Zoom prom that John Krasinski put on. Thank you, John Krasinski. It was a night to remember. When I hear Tongue-Tied, I think of June 6th, our graduation. And today, our other graduation. I'll miss these days. Now, some of you might not even know any of the songs that I just mentioned, and that's okay, because not everyone has the same playlist, but we all have one. And we can take solace in knowing that we are all genuinely a part of each other's. You are something to someone else. No matter if you've been here since kindergarten or you transferred this year, you take up space in the minds of the people sitting to your left and right today. A glance, a smile, an ally. You matter, class of 2020. High school's over for us, but we will always be the one and only Wellesley High School class of 2020, and we did that through years of making memories, making music, together. Nobody can take that away from us. So, I think the only respectable way to close this out would be singing, right? Thank you. I was going to do it anyways. And what better song to use? Welcome to your life. There's no turning back. Even while we sleep, we will find you acting on your best behavior. Turn your back on Mother Nature. Everybody wants to rule the world. Thank you, guys. And good luck finding the next song on your playlist.
thing gets hot. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for coming. I have a lot of thanks to give out today because there are so many people who had a hand in making this moment happen. I want to thank Dr. Lucier, members of the school committee and the Board of Health. Thank you to the DPW, the Wellesley Police Department, Wellesley Media, so many of the parents out there and others watching along at home. Thanks to David Silverstein for helping make today's live stream connection possible for our families at home. I want to, of course, thank members of the high school staff, including Ms. Rose, Ms. Iarossi, Mr. Scott, Mr. Shattuck, Ms. Matloff, Mr. Kelton, Ms. Bignani, Mrs. Zink, Mr. Zink, and our dedicated custodial staff. Please give them a hand. Well, it's been quite a ride to get here, hasn't it? I mean, given everything that's gone on during the past 6 months, is it a surprise to anyone that our run-up to this ceremony would be anything but uncertain? This is a spring you are unlikely to ever forget. We've definitely had to be nimble, and adaptability is one of the themes I want to talk about today. In 2003, I stood on this field and delivered the faculty address at that graduation ceremony. And in that speech, I created a visual I want to borrow from myself. I used the symbol of the empty bleachers to talk about a notion introduced to me when I was lucky enough to hear Maya Angelou speak about the importance of remembering who paid for you. Part of what I said was this: I want to draw your attention to the bleachers on the other side of the football field. I want you to use your imagination to help me build a symbol of them. Those bleachers stand empty, but I would like you to imagine those stands full. I want you to fill them in with your mind's eye with the people who are not here today, people who love you and who you have loved. There are people you may have never met. They are the people who paid your fare. Each one of us could fill those bleachers even if we don't know all the names and all the faces of the people who would sit there. In writing this speech, the thing I thought was crazy is that I knew I'd be looking over at the main bleachers today without all your family and friends in them. Those are the most obvious people who have sweat and bled for you to be here. And because of this pandemic, they are as physically separated from us this morning as are the generations who came before them. But of course, they have all been there for you in so many other important ways. You have also had to be there for each other in so many non-physical ways out of necessity. And you've figured out ways to do it. You've been there with texts and FaceTime and Zoom calls and socially distanced meetings. We've all had to find ways, and I know you've done that for each other. You've proven that you have the ability to adapt and be nimble in the face of great uncertainty. Until this spring, we've spent a lot of time in the Wellesley Public Schools exhorting you to pay less attention to your grades and more to your learning. We've told you how we were preparing you for an uncertain future where we couldn't possibly predict what jobs you'd have to be ready for. We only knew you would need to be creative, collaborative, and nimble. I have to say, I don't think any of us actually expected that you would need to employ all those skills in the face of such uncertainty quite so soon. None of us would have predicted that you would need to navigate the end of high school and into the start of your next journey beyond it. One certainty that has been taking focus this spring is that the systems we have been a part of here and beyond have not been fair and equitable to all people. What a new system could look like, or how this one could be fairly applied to everyone, is work that many people have begun in very public ways recently, and it is work looking for all of our help. For sure, making the world an equitable place, not a more equitable place, but an equitable place, requires collaboration, creativity, and flexibility. The world which we described to you as a theory, the world that we told you was going to be uncertain and unpredictable, is here, right now, and by the way, we're all facing it. Our charge is to make use of the crash course in uncertainty we've all been on these last 6 months
and use it to do better for everyone. So what did you learn about yourself during this time? What reservoir did you find hidden inside you that you didn't know was there, that will allow you to nimbly respond to all this uncertainty? Perhaps we can take a lesson from the late Congressman John Lewis, who we lost just this past week. John Lewis was a civil rights leader and then a U.S. congressman called the conscience of the Congress. He was inspired by Rosa Parks in her refusal to give up her bus seat in 1955. He said she inspired him to get into what he called good trouble. He was only 15 years old at the time, and before he would be elected to Congress, he would be involved in the civil rights movement so many times that he was arrested over 40 times, and 5 more after he took office. After he crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama, when he was just 25 years old, he was struck by state troopers, and he said he thought he was going to die there. Thank goodness he didn't, because he worked to pass dozens of bills to create a more inclusive America. As recently as June of 2016, he sat on the floor of the House for 26 hours demanding Congress take up firearm safety legislation to keep you safe at school. Congressman Lewis is a lot to live up to, and I'm certainly not going to be the high school principal who exhorts his students to all go out and get arrested 40 times. But I will exhort you to do what John Lewis said and say something if you see something that isn't right. I will tell you that you're going to get knocked down out there, and sometimes it's going to feel like you're not going to be able to get through tough times. My hope is the skills you've learned and the experience you've had here before and during these past 6 months have taught you something great about yourself. So, like I did back in 2003, I'm going to ask all of you to take another look at your bleachers and consider all those people who paid for you. Back then, I asked the graduates to think about the sacrifices of people who paid their fare and realize they had the power to get through hard times too. Today, I want to end by reminding you that there was a gift given to you in these past 6 months. That gift was the skill of adaptability that you've already begun to master. My hope is that you'll use it to make this world a good place for everyone. Congratulations.
I'm going to take a little bit of time to reflect. On March 12th, our school closed. Many of us thought we would be back in 2 weeks, but as schools around the country began to shut down for the year, it dawned on us that we were not going back. As the virus became a pandemic, death tolls rose and the unemployment rate skyrocketed. Families of marginalized groups became disproportionately affected by the pandemic, broadening the racial divide and economic gap in a country where all people are supposed to be created equal. After marches for social justice and racial equality, we are still not where we need to be. And while this happened, where were we, the class of 2020? Over the past 4 years, we all worked incredibly hard, whether it was on our schoolwork, jobs, sports, performing arts, clubs, art projects, and everything else that our senior year would have provided closure for. Over the past 4 months, these final moments were taken from us by COVID-19. We've experienced something that has rarely been asked of our senior class. We didn't go to school. We didn't play our spring sports. We didn't perform in our concerts or our plays. We didn't have a prom, a banquet, or even a June 6th graduation with our families. And while some of us are lucky enough to have only missed events, others have lost family members and friends to the pandemic. Family businesses have shut down. Parents have lost jobs. And students have had to postpone their future plans due to financial or health reasons. And what did we, the class of 2020, do? After mourning the loss of our senior spring, the class of 2020 showed true Raider pride and held socially distant fundraisers, donated to the Wellesley Food Bank, supported local and family-owned businesses, and fed our frontline workers. Student activists organized protests, rallies, and even connected through Zoom calls to discuss race in our community. COVID knocked down so many aspects of our community, and rather than staying down, we got back up, the class of 2020. We pushed through our disappointment and came together as a class and as a community. And now, we are all here, together. And although we may wish this fight was over, we may be tested again by COVID-19. And we're going to have to keep getting back up, just like we have time and again throughout our WHS career, and especially over the past 4 months. The class of 2020 isn't a class of complacency. It is a class of resilience, of community, of allyship. So let's take a moment to recognize the hardships that have hit us, have empathy for those less fortunate than us, and cherish the community our class has demonstrated while being socially distant. Thank you.
Dr. Lucier, Dr. Chisholm, Mr. Kelton, Ms. Matloff, Mr. Shattuck, members of the school committee, families, friends, faculty, and staff, lots of these people watching at home, and especially members of the resilient and magnificent Wellesley High School class of 2020. In the immortal words of the Grateful Dead, lately it occurs to me what a long, strange trip it's been. Back in May 2019, when you took over the cafeteria as the new seniors with your zoo theme and animal prints, who could have guessed things would get this wild? But here we are, the day your class officers have long fought for, the chance to gather together in person to celebrate this milestone as a community. While the carefully orchestrated and well-attended graduation parade was pretty awesome, it just couldn't safely provide what you most needed. You were craving the company of your community, the class of 2020. Now that it's here, it feels a bit strange, actually, to look out into a gathering of people in real life. Where are all the little Zoom boxes I've grown accustomed to? People yelling, "You're muted," at each other, while dogs bark and somebody makes a sandwich and a distracted classmate is busy uploading a background of Baby Yoda or Jack Nicholson's face from The Shining. As the New York Times published recently, we live in Zoom now. During what should have been your celebratory senior spring, in-person events like Color Wars and prom were replaced by remote learning and social distancing, hand sanitizer and masks instead of high fives and hugs. And yet, if we shift our perspective a little bit, while we certainly have sacrificed and endured isolation, and some of us and our families have suffered acutely from illness, loss, or financial insecurity, we have also grown. You have grown. You have faced great uncertainty and some major disappointments, and you've coped. I mean, we expected nothing less from our class of 2020, which boasts both the 3-time dodgeball champions and the Powder Puff victors. It's clear you know how to rise to a challenge. But in all seriousness, COVID-19, if nothing else, has made us all slow down and take stock. We didn't really have a choice. In the early days of quarantine, the term essential became ubiquitous. Essential workers earned our long overdue gratitude. We only left the house for essential errands, and perhaps faced the discomforting experience of encountering store shelves lacking in essential items, like toilet paper, for one. You probably won't be surprised to hear that as an English teacher, I love definitions of words. And Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines essential as of the utmost importance, indispensable, necessary. As you prepare to transition into your next chapter, whatever that exciting adventure might be, and whatever it might look like under these circumstances, I invite you to reflect on what you now consider essential. Perhaps this pandemic and the necessary isolation has actually given you the space to recognize what in your life is essential and what is just noise. Figure that out and don't waste another minute with the rest. Summon all of your good energy and funnel it into your essential pursuits. Imagine you were illustrating the Merriam-Webster definition of essential. What image would you put next to indispensable and necessary above all else? What is of utmost importance to you? I'd like to suggest that some guidance may be found in the literature you've read along the way. What? You thought I would finally get the chance to see you one more time and not talk about books? No. Collectively, during your time in your fabulous English classes, I hope you've experienced a few formative moments through fiction. Perhaps you've leapt off a cliff to soar with Milkman in Song of Solomon, or waited with bated breath to discover which villager drew the black dot in the lottery. Maybe you've sat on the porch with Phoebe as Janie tells her life story in Their Eyes Were Watching God, or journaled with Justice McAllister and Dear Martin, flown kites with Hassan and Amir in Kabul, or run down the street with Sylvia in The Lesson declaring, "Nobody's gonna beat me at nothing." Now, if you were in my class in 9th grade, this next part is review. The best thing, I think, about reading is that books are sometimes mirrors, reflecting our familiar identities and experience back to us, affirming and validating who we are. Books are sometimes windows, offering views into and a chance to explore and understand that which is less familiar, and thus offering us an opportunity to see another's perspective and grow in our own. We need both windows and mirrors. And my hope is that you read widely in the pursuit of understanding yourself and building community with others. We need this right now more than ever. And as many scholars and educators tell us, when the lighting is just right and we're looking closely, the windows can become mirrors reflecting back our shared humanity. To take it one more step, Rudine Sims Bishop shifts the reading metaphor from a window to a sliding glass door. She writes, "It is the change in our perspective that allows us to not only recognize our shared humanity, but also walk through the glass door by means of thoughtful action in our own real lives." Members of this class of 2020 are no strangers to thoughtful action. You have been using your voices all along, Some of you have protested and expressed your views through walkouts for gun control to ensure safer schools, for racial equity and justice, and to wake up Wellesley. This is the class of yes, young ethnic scholars. And Black Lives Matter activism that strives to go beyond performance in order to build solidarity and belonging, not just inclusion. You have advocated for changes and policies that create safer spaces for everyone at Wellesley High School. You have experience being tenacious leaders. You haven't just read about it in a book. In fact, we're having the ceremony today because you asked for it and persisted in reaching your goal to come together as a community. You took action. There's just one more thing I want to mention about holding close the essential lessons we can learn from literature, and it's a specific example. If there's one thing you've learned in your 4 years of English classes, it's how to use textual evidence to back up a claim, right? Right? In William Golding's novel, Lord of the Flies, and by the way, Ryan and I did not coordinate and plan to talk about the same novel. He just obviously has excellent taste in literature. But in Lord of the Flies, in which British schoolboys crash onto a tropical island and must organize a society in order to survive, we meet Piggy. As Ralph, the protagonist, recognizes too late, Piggy is wise and true. But Golding also describes Piggy as a corpulent kid with asthma, myopic eyesight, and a penchant for quoting his auntie. And therefore, he never receives the respect he deserves for his intellect and insight. In my favorite scene in the novel, the more dominant boys have just stolen Piggy's glasses and run off. And Piggy plans to confront these peers and demand justice. As he is rehearsing what to say to them, he practices this courageous speech. "Look, I'm going to say, you're stronger than I am, and you haven't got asthma. You can see, I'm going to say, and with both eyes. But I don't ask for my glasses back, not as a favor. I don't ask you to be a sport, I'll say, not because you're strong, but because what's right's right. Give me my glasses, I'm going to say. You got to. What's right's right. You got to." Piggy demands justice and strongly believes this moral code to be non-negotiable. It is essential to him and his view of humanity. Through Piggy and his resolve, Golding encourages us all to trust our own wisdom, to speak up and affect the changes, even the big systemic ones, you hold to be right. You have now faced historical uncertainty on several fronts, and are facing it still. Do not be afraid. You won't always have the perfect roadmap, the perfect recipe for success, the teacher or coach or mentor propping you up with constant validation. You won't always earn the A in whatever you try to accomplish. So what? That uncomfortable feeling you have when you aren't sure of the right answer or action, that uncertainty, that's growth. Embrace it. Don't worry so much about the accolades, the transcript, likes, and followers. Just let your intellectual curiosity and moral compass, your own code of what's essential, guide you. Okay, to wrap up, I have one final quotation for you. It's not from a novel. I read it on Instagram. But it is a play on Charles Dickens' famous first sentence from A Tale of Two Cities. You know the one, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times? This one read, it was the worst of times. It was the even worse than that of times. We in this country are living through a major turning point in history, which will be studied for many years to come. A global pandemic, a racial reckoning, an economic tipping point, all in a presidential election year. The eyes of future generations are going to be studying this time. Will they be able to tell what's essential to you? In closing, here's my wish for you. Wherever you go, I hope that you will continue to fight with and for your community, for everyone in it, together, until we all feel a shared sense of equity, dignity, and belonging. You all have your next chapters to write, and this time you get to determine your own character, how you look through windows, and face yourself in mirrors. Please throw open that sliding glass door of our shared humanity and step out to act in service of your essential truths. Because what's right's right, and you're writing the book on that. Thank you.
Wait. Aditya Acharya. Christopher Dylan Altoff. Ariana Maria Baffa. Preston Philip Bailey. Jessica Lauren Baker. Nora Frances Bannon. Sophia Barbara Bazant. Alexa Faith Bedrosian. Zoe Elise Bellamy Gomez. Samantha Kim Bellin. William Carter Berardi. Charles Samuel Berger. Asia Rose Binder. Tate Henry Blasco. Alana Ruby Blaustein. Isabel Lynn Bogholm. Abigail Rebecca Bratz. Sydney Aaron Bronstein. Henry Francis Bridgers. Cameron Saunders Brooks. Benjamin David Buckley. Olivia Catherine Buckley. Paige Anna Buller. Joseph Paul Cahaley. Kevin Edward Kennedy. Erica Devard Carlson. Reed Henry Carpenter. Madeline Noonan Carroll. Stephen David Charkoudian. Adriana Isabel Chase. Kylie Elizabeth Chase. Matthew Gaetano Cho. Brendan Robert Clare. Emmett Connors Coakley. William Maury Cohen Pratt. Alexandra Corey Coleman. Abigail Catherine Camella. Grady Thomas Cook. Cecilia Andrea Doglioli. William Terrell Doherty. Charles David Driscoll. J. Thomas Shelton Driver. Madeline Teresa Fenton. Michael Joseph Frizzoco. Elizabeth Phyllis Amy. Bridget Barrows Flannery. Erin Marine Fleming. Holt Woodbury Fletcher. Olivia Sandra Francis. Audrey White Fulkerson. Connor James Gallerani. Henry Thomas Gear. Zoe Amelia Giger. Anna Lee Glashow. Allison Ivy Geringer. Faith Lilandra Gonzalez. Logan Edward Green. Lauren Elizabeth Grossi. Oscar William Haberline. Alexander Simon Haidar. Naseem Haji Shaky. Graylani Florence Hartnett. Kelly Ann Hassett. Caitlin Elizabeth Hazard. Anna Gabriella Peru. Michael Albert Hickey. Jack Mason Hinchley. Sophie Elizabeth Hoffman. Grace Ann Hone. Courtney Anna Horgan. Russell James Horning. Andrew Frank George Hubbard. Guile Massey Hippolyte. Olivia Nicole Isaacson. Camille Fixler Jacoby. Yasmin Vanita Jafir Williams. Jack Bracken Johnson. Molly Rose Jordan. Alexa Nicole Kahn. Jenna Stephanie Camp. Prachi Kelkar. John Gray Kenny. Noah Dong Sung Kum. Shayla Ann King. Joshua Ethan Kinsella. Kendra Lane Kleintop. Julian Lee Clearfield. Teddy Sedgwick Kamiati. John Charles Kramer. Andrew
Huang Kang.
Violet Michelle Lahive. Pauline Lenore Lash. Ethan Matthew Loams. Tabby Condon Lown. Karina J.D. Lutsky. George Mark Luzitis. Robert Anthony Lynch. Elizabeth Ann McDougall. Hannah Sophie McDougall. Jacqueline Diane Mack. Isabella Brown McKinnon. Sage Elizabeth Makonga. Thatcher William Makonga. John Michael Majakamo. William Bonner Manning. Ashley Elizabeth Martin. Jack Joseph McCarran. William Lewis McGraw. Ellen Marie McMahon. Sophia Isabel McMillan. Lauren Joyce Mealy. Rebecca Eve Miller. Bridget Patricia Miller. Destiny Marie Santiago Mitchell. Audrey Rose Morgan. Zachary Carter Montzoris. Catherine Marie Mungovan. William Thomas Mungovan. Anthony Jake Knockley. Sophie Rose Nathanson. Jonathan Bernard Nicholas. Lariana Alejandra Naj. Bridget Marie Noonan. Mackenzie Ann O'Neill. Jackson Joseph O'Toole. Annabelle Elizabeth Olson. Olivia Yu Ong. Alex George Osler. Lily Patnode. Jacob Elliott Paul. Isabel Fernandez Perozic. Natalia Peters Dominic. Jameer Malik Pritchard. Nicholas Joseph Pazowski. Leah Marie Quigley. Kelly Shea Rawson. Sophia Sandra Rafojo. Owen Walsh Renault. Caitlin Rose Rich. Keith Wesley Robinson. Emily Ann Rourke. Caroline Renee Russo. Sheridan Grace Santo. Matthew Dick Siegel. Neil Sharma. Sierra Simone Sinclair. Veronica Rose Smith. Daniel Lee Song. Jackson William Harry Steen. Amy Catherine Sterling. Andrew Quine Stevenson. Anna Elizabeth Tabor. Wilkeen Alexander Tejada. Nellie Adair Thompson. Lee Carol Tickton. Isabella Rose Turco. Kay Vandervoort. Gavin Russell Vogel. Andrew Charles Votapka. Catherine Grace Wiesel. Tiffany Sinyi Wong. Ryan John Wesley. Haley Rose Wexelblatt. Mariana Rose Weicker. Kathleen Oram Y. John Parker Wegman. Corey Allen William Jones. Emily Rowe Wilrich. Christina Wu. Kaylee Wu. Jiayu Yuan. Maxwell Edward Zajac. Andrew Dunbar. Hugh Braccia. Kalia Rochelle. Connor Simcoe. Brady Howell. Charlotte Hayden. Grace Regal. Eric Thompson. Martin Lopez Benitez. Gavin Gallagher.
Lily Cohane. Jason Norris. Kelly Bott. Andrew Peaty. Ryan Silverstein.
I want to take a moment to recognize the people who couldn't make it today. Although I can't read their names off, I just know that there's a lot of different circumstances. We talked about the uncertain times we're in, and I just want everyone to give a huge round of applause for the 100 or so people who couldn't make it today. And with that, everyone stand up. We're officially Wellesley High School graduates. Move your tassel from right to left. We did it.
Are we doing it?
Yeah, I know. I was waiting for everyone to just leave.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you watching at home, I'm Andrew Peeney. I'm the Vice President. For my classmates, what's up, guys? It's Peen Dog. The year 2020 will be remembered forever, and so will the Wellesley High School class of 2020. In the past 6 months, we've seen prom slip away, we've lost senior banquet and our spring activities, and the prospect of going on senior project went down the drain. Augustock was canceled, the spring play had to go virtual, and our very own Raider hockey girls lost their opportunity to kick the living snot out of Canton, and they would have picked up their third straight state championship ring. We didn't let this faze us, though. We refused to fold and let all the wrong that seemed to be spiraling through our world take control. The class of 2020 was there when we were needed most. We delivered groceries for our elderly neighbors. We picked up part-time jobs to help our families who lost work from the pandemic. And we got out in our community and stood for issues that with our efforts can make the world a better place. We wore masks and gloves, used hand sanitizer, and kept 6 feet apart from each other for the greater good, to preserve the safety of those in our community who are not as young and healthy as we are. The spirit of class of 2020 will live on. We are leaders. We are donors. We are bystanders and supporters. The class of 2020 gift to the Wellesley High School will work to carry that spirit for years to come. Each year, the class of 2020 Community Scholarship will be awarded to a graduating senior who has shown excellent leadership, selflessness, and commitment to the betterment of their class and community. The class of 2020 is proud to serve our role in making a difference in the lives of Wellesley High School students and aiding their mission to change our world and community for the better. Thank you.
So it is now my pleasure to announce this year's valedictorians. This year we have 2 winners of the valedictorian for the class of 2020. Both recipients earned a perfect 5.0 GPA during their 4 years at Wellesley High School. This year's winners are Ariana Baffa and Catherine Wiesel. Senior Cup, class of 2020. The Senior Cup is awarded to 2 members of the senior class who, in the opinion of their peers, is the most outstanding in character, school citizenship, scholarship, and activities. Our first winner is a leader here on many levels. One of the people who wrote her college recommendation noted the following: I remember meeting her as a 9th grader. Her ability, even then, to manage her emotions, stay open to new relationships, and adjust to her new academic expectations was remarkable. She is smart, funny, and has a strong sense of social responsibility. She is not a student who suffers inauthenticity. She is an organizer. She is as comfortable organizing adults as she is with her peers. She is respectful, pointed, and effective at getting our community to face hard truths. She is the winner of the League of Women Voters Award. She is the winner of the Jerry Murphy Humanities Award. She is the winner of the Janice Guild Scholarship. She is the winner of the John Hamilton Award for Social Studies. She is a winner of the Core Value Commitment to Community Award. She played basketball here. She was on the Student Leadership Board for Challenge Success. She was the co-founder and first ever president of the Young Ethnic Scholars. She will be attending American University in the fall. Your first 2020 Senior Cup Award winner is Yasmin Jafir Williams. The second award winner. Adults in the building describe him this way. He's kind, optimistic, thoughtful, and determined. He's going to go a long way with those qualities. He's the kind of person people like to have around all the time. He gets along well with everyone he meets, and he cares a great deal about other people's perspectives. He works hard, and he's extremely reliable. He's someone who likes to think creatively and is willing to make changes others might not question if he believes that they will make things better for everyone. He is someone who makes himself available for others and takes his responsibilities seriously. He has strong relationships with adults around this building because of the level of maturity he possesses. He is the winner of the 2019 Bates College Award, the 2020 Len Seipel Turner Award for Service Above Self. He is a 2020 Principals Leadership Award winner. He was a varsity soccer player. He is the second member of his family to win this prestigious award. You chose him to be your class president for all 4 years of high school. He will be attending the University of California at Los Angeles this fall. Your second Senior Cup winner for 2020 is Ryan Silverstein. So now this morning I say to you congratulations, and your class officers are going to dismiss you by row. Congratulations, class of 2020.
Yes.